Yes, guys, welcome back to the Spurs related podcast. I'm starting a little bit early. Some of you waiting already. I'm starting a little bit early because we've obviously got the news in the last couple of moments that Xavi Simmons is a Tottenham Hotspur player. Obviously, been waiting for this for a while. It's big news. It's exciting. Me and James are going to get into it. James is going to be here in about 15 minutes' time. Before we start, as always, if you aren't subscribed, please hit subscribe. Please like the video. The support recently has been unbelievable, and we want that to continue. So, if you can non-financially contribute, then liking, subscribing, hit the bell so you never miss a podcast or an upload or anything. As I say every time, me and James are working unbelievably hard at the moment to produce as much content for all you guys. We're streaming on Twitter now today as well, for a first, which is nice. So another avenue of hopefully some more of you seeing this. And if you are able to contribute financially, obviously it's not expected, but it's an option. You can either get a super chat in, which for as little as 99p, I want to say, sorry. And you can get your message pulled straight up. You skip the queue, and you can create a talking point for me, James, and any other guests that may be on here. Or you can go to the membership route, which I think is as little as $1.99 a month. Could be wrong. Again, this is bad. I need to be better at these things. But the link is in the description. We had Jack on here the other day. He's a brilliant guest. And he came on solely through being a member. So if that's something that you want to do, then maybe think about that, and we'd massively appreciate it. Both me and James here at Spurs Related. Let's pull up a couple of comments before we start, and then we'll get into the main talking point that everyone wants to speak about. Stu in here as always. Lucky, welcome mate. Tottenham call, and he answered. Of course. Simon Cohen, big up Frank, big up to yourself too. Abdul Rahman, always in here. Same as Simon, by the way. Wagwan. Super gassed about Xavi joining. Very true. So am I. It feels like a big deal. As much as I love Xavi, we need a left winger. We'll get onto that. We will get onto that. But for now, let's enjoy what we have, because it's very rare that Tottenham maybe make a signing like this. They obviously tweeted out about 15 minutes ago this picture, the silhouette of Xavi Simmons, Dutch flag, and an hourglass emoji. They then obviously followed it up with a picture of him signing. There's an interview which has just come out as I've started this, so I will pull some of that up in a little while. Thomas Frank said this afternoon that, but he's hoping that we would as fans would be happy for various reasons later on, and he was spot on. Yeah, I mean, it feels rare that Tottenham do something like this, that they pick up a player that is young but has such a high ceiling in the future, right? As well, like we spoke about it. Sorry, but has a high ceiling now as well. But I spoke about it the other day, and I said that's why I like the idea of Savinho, right? He's 21, 22. He can contribute massively now, but if you've got him in his best years in 4, 5, 6 years time as well, he could be whatever he wants to be. And I feel the same as Xavi Simmons. It's 5 years plus another 2 as an extension. So that's obviously good news. Could have him here for 7 years, plus even longer possibly. He's a bright spark, right? He's a good player. He's an exciting player. He's one that we don't have a sort of a similar sort of, maybe Kudus is the closest to him, but he's a little bit different to Kudus. He's not as maybe strong and physically imposing as Kudus. But he's nippy. He's gonna beat you for pace. He's gonna beat you for skill, and he's gonna be very, very exciting. Spurs just posted a new picture, did they? Let's have a look. Let's see. They put up a photo of him, which about something we'll get into in a moment. That he is our new number 7. There is actually that he is our new number 7. That will look good with that total 90 font, I think. I'm not sure if he's in the squad for tomorrow. I read that he might have to wait for his. There you go. As I say that, Alistair Gold, as the Xavi Simmons was signed after the deadline to play, has to wait for his work permit anyway. So we introduced at the game against Bournemouth tomorrow, but he will not be part of the squad. When will the video be released? Any thoughts? What video? What video is that? And I will. I imagine a video of an interview. I'm not sure if that is out. If that is the case, then I imagine it will be in the coming sort of hours. You got the number 7 shirt. Seems to be a long-term replacement for Sonny. Quite possibly. Thomas Frank, just while I'm at it, has said, I'm really pleased we brought Xavi in. He's a great addition to the squad. He's still young. He's got a lot of good experience already over the past few years and played a lot of games at the top level. He can play both as a number 10 and on the left wing. He's a great eye for his teammates in terms of unlocking defences. And I know he'll come in as a good part of the team. No announcement video for him. They released a little one, which was about how Spurs called him and he answered. But nothing more than that currently. I guess we'll get the interview very shortly. So yeah, I mean, I guess that we're all very, very pleased. It does this. Okay, let's first little engagement piece. Why as we wait for James to come on as well. Number 1 in the chat. If this takes this window up to a 7 or plus out of 10, if you're pleased now with the window. Number 2, if you still think we need another couple of players, and if so, if it is number 2, who are those couple of players? Do you think Sancho is an option, or will his wage be a problem? I think it's unlikely. I would say probably not, solely because of the policies of Thomas Frank and what he looks for. I'm not sure. I've heard there is over 100 of you watching currently on Twitter, which is amazing. Come over to the YouTube, get into the chat, get into the comments, and let me know your thoughts on this, because that's some unbelievable numbers over there for the first stream on there. But if you can come over to the YouTube, come and have your say in the comments over here. What other comments we got to pick up? Spurs seem to be posting something every 5 minutes. Yeah, they usually do on signing day. It's exciting, right? It feels like, say, it's a statement of a signing. And that's quite exciting. 2, says Abdul Rahman, a left winger as well. Yes, that is important. I think Savinho, I've still got a little hunch that Savinho could happen. Whether or not it does, I've still got a little hunch that it might do. Just quietly, that we can hope. The numbers are still rising. Good stuff. The support has been very good. Great news, unexpected. Lookman and a centre back will be great. We'll get on to a centre half soon. Been linked to Manuel Akanji today, someone I'm a very big fan of. So we will get on to that very shortly. But this is kind of the big breaking news as of right now, and so the news that we have to talk about. I wanted to bring up something else as well, quite quickly. 1 second, let me switch it over. Give me a minute. This, which I thought was quite interesting. Obviously, the league, there is a league difference, right? But I thought this was quite an interesting graph to look at. Obviously, compared to Abere Eze. I mean, Xavi Simmons kind of outdoes him. Well, he does outdo him everywhere, right? He looks. His numbers like this are unbelievable, right? Maybe his goals and assists be a little bit higher, but his underlying numbers, that usually tells that you're a pretty good player. And so that I'm very, very pleased about. Seriously, is Xavi better than Eze? I think what I like about Xavi more than Eze is that he's 5 years younger than him. And so his ceiling is far higher, I think. I said at the time, and this wasn't it's not a coping thing now, I said at the time that I think Eze has a ceiling. I think you know what you're going to get. He takes you up a level, certainly, but he has a ceiling. Savinho doesn't have a ceiling for me. That ceiling is so high, right? And I think Simmons is that sort of player. So that is exciting news. 1 moment. Let me just check in when James is coming. Let's get some more comments up as well. If we sign someone to play on the left and a backup for Van der Ven, I dare to say perfect for Frank. I would say it's been a pretty successful window in terms of the individuals then brought in. Maybe not the players who... maybe not the way they've gone about it, because I think the way they've gone about it has been a little bit poor at times. Sorry, 1 second. Just checking something with James. Let's have a look. Akanji or Ake? What is in? I guess you're asking me. I would say I think Akanji's better. I've kind of banged the drum about Ake recently because I think he's more achievable for Tottenham. But if they can get Akanji, I'd probably rather Akanji. Seriously, we've got that one up. Can't believe we got Xavi. Yeah, I can't either. As I say, the kid's got obviously a lot of potential, but he's come through. I mean, we all knew about him when he was like 13, 14 playing for Barcelona, right? There's videos that Rising Ballers and all these different accounts have posted about him. He looked like a star. And sometimes when we see it before with players like Karamoko Dembele and whatever, that this pressure builds so much and they can't actually, they struggle to actually make it at the top level. And I think he's one that is making it at the top level. And so that is very positive, very, very positive indeed. Thank you for reposting the stream on Twitter. As I say, our first stream on Twitter, so that is very, very grateful for that. Spurs has tweeted out, "Don't listen to the noise." I'll bring that up in a second. Hello, Frank. Hello, A1. Let me share my screen. Actually, I will get some of these new. As I say, we're getting new Spurs stuff every couple of minutes. I think in 2 or 3 years he'll leave us for Barcelona. I think ultimately it depends on where Spurs are, right? If he's doing well, like so well that Barcelona and those big clubs want him, then hopefully Spurs are too. And I think if Spurs are doing well, there probably ain't going to be many better places to be in the world. Because I think if you're doing well as Spurs, like a good period at Spurs, is being at the top of the league, like in and around, and challenging for titles and challenging for trophies. So I don't know if that move would happen. But ultimately it depends on where Spurs are in that time. So you've got to hope that we're in a good place. And then Eze's helped us sign a better midfielder. Dare I agree? Who would you get on the left? Who do you think will get on the left? I said it the other day, I still have a sneaky suspicion that they might get Savinho, because I think he's going to want to play. He's going to move, I think. If not, I think Alamola Lookman will probably be the one that they would go for, because they might be able to get a loan done. But as I say, it wouldn't shock me if we get a player completely out of nothing. Someone that we just do not expect. Let me get this up so that I can show you what is going on. Spurs have tweeted out, "Don't listen to the noise." I like that. I like the admin. The Spurs admin recently has been fantastic. We're going to be amazing. I hope so. I really, really hope so. I hope that this is the start of something special with Thomas Frank. There he is in the new kit, obviously, and there he is with the number 7 shirt. I'm surprised they still haven't actually tweeted out about the new third kit. Nike have, but they haven't announced it, which I find very odd. I'm surprised they haven't announced him in the shirt. But yeah, there he is, which is good to see. He's ours. We're delighted to announce the signing of Xavi Simmons from RB Leipzig on a long-term contract. Tottenham called and he answered. I won't play that for the risk of the copyright for the song. But yeah, it's obviously big news. Obviously big news. Something that I'm very excited about. I know James went through this a little bit in last night's video that he posted. His solo one. His numbers are good, right? His numbers are very good. Against other midfielders, his numbers are incredible. So that's obviously probably slightly more defensive-minded midfielders, of course. But his numbers, so maybe your 8s and things, his numbers are superb. You compare him to other 10s and things, they obviously don't look as appealing, but when you look in depth, I mean, his progressive passes, fantastic. His passes attempted. His defensive numbers are very good. His defensive numbers are very good for an attacking midfielder, and I think this is something that Thomas Frank will like. So just seeing 200 of you watching in here now, fantastic support. So thank you all very much. But yeah, as I say, his numbers suggest that he is going to be a very, very top signing for Spurs. Let's have a look at some more comments to see what's going on. At least one piece has been solved. Yeah, exactly. We just got to hope that they get a couple more in. Tony says, protest anyone? I think they're going to still continue, because I say that they needed probably 3. They've got 1 in, as Kelvin said. They've got 1 piece solved, but they need to still a little bit of a way off. Good evening, Logan. How are you, mate? Hope you're all good. We need someone to receive the pass. The Dutch on the left-hand side. I mean, I think he's going to play in. As in, you need a left winger. Sorry, right. Agreed. You need another option. Johnson is not a sort of direct runner at people, so you need one of those on the left. But I like having Johnson as an option to be able to score goals and get involved in that side of the game. Whilst the numbers keep growing, I'm gonna use another plug and say that, yeah, as I say, the support's been amazing recently. If you can contribute by hitting like, not actually sure how many likes we're on. I can't see it on here, but we want to try and been hitting 200 on some of the streams of late. So let's try and hit that again today. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe. It's much appreciated. As I say, me and James are working very hard of late. And throughout this season, we want to hit 10K by the end of the season. So that is the goal that we've set ourselves, hit 4 the other day. So if you can support that way, it'd be amazing. If you're on Twitter, hello. It'd be amazing if you came over here onto YouTube and got in the chat, gave your thoughts on the Simmons deal. But yeah, it's and also, before I forget, if you want to skip the queue, get your message read out. Super chats are there for as little as 99p for the message, and memberships. The link are in the description. You can come on the show whenever you want. You can message SpursRelated currently on Twitter. The Instagram hopefully will be back soon, but currently it's only the Twitter. You can message SpursRelated. Tell us you want to come on, and we will get you on as quickly as 5-10 minutes after you have sent your message. We had Jack on the other day. As I say, he was brilliant. I'm not sure if he's here today. I haven't seen him in the chat yet, but he was brilliant the other day. We've got a couple of members at the moment, but yeah, if you want to come on, you can come on whenever you want across the season. Come and give your views. Come and speak to James and myself. Yeah, and yeah, see what it's like to be on this panel. Logan says, all good, thanks, buddy. How are you? I'm fantastic. I'm excited. I mean, I'm in a good mood for once. Talking about Tottenham, buzzing about Simmons, but we need a left-sided centre half and a left winger. Totally agree. If we get Savinho or Lookman, who are teams get double up on, this is the thing, right? This is why having one on either side is so brilliant. If you double up on the left, Kudus and Xavi Simmons, you double up on the right. I mean, you could almost double up on 2 of them if you have to, but you ain't doubling up on all 3 of them, right? So having it across the whole 3 is so beneficial and should be fantastic if Spurs can get a left winger over the line. Saving the yellow kit, should I say, for Savinho. Yeah, that will look good. I would have mind the other day with João Paulinho on the back. I'm starting to become a bit of a Paulinho fanboy. Cheers, Frank, for the decent content. I suggest they come on you, Spurs. It's a pleasure to have you as another sub. The support, as I say, has been fantastic of late. So thank you all very much. Do we think he'll start first off as the 10 or he'll push right? I think he'll start as the 10, but I think there'll be plenty of games where he will be used on the left. Like maybe like games like the City one the other day, where then you've almost got 2 midfielders and then you can sit in a block because these guys can play a little bit deeper, but they're also capable enough to play like him and Kudus, capable enough to play in that sort of front line. They can do both. So I think we will see him predominantly in the middle when we play teams who can have a lot of the ball. But I think if we play teams who are not going to have a lot of the ball, I think we might see him on the left a little bit. If we don't get Savinho this window, then I think January we could try, but you never know. I think Savinho, and as I say, Savinho or Rodrigo, something's going to happen. Something's going to tick, and it's going to cause like a domino effect, I think. I'd be very surprised if it doesn't happen. Maybe not to us, but I'm saying I'd be very surprised if I don't see the Rodrigo staying at Real Madrid unless he's promised game time constantly, and I don't think he will get game time constantly. Same with Savinho. So I'm a little bit unsure how that's going to work. I think they will move around. Need a centre mid replacement Basuma, a left-sided centre half, or a left back, and a left winger, attacking midfielder, depending where Xavi plays. I think, yeah, as I say, I think Xavi will play as a 10. So I think they will need a left winger. They need a left-sided centre half or a left back sort of player. I think if they sign Akanji, I thought Akanji was right-footed. I could be very wrong. Please correct me in the chat. But you've obviously got Van der Ven can also play as that sort of left back role if you need him to as well. So it then frees us up a little bit. Need a centre mid replacement. Basuma, Kobe Mainoo's the one I want. I'd love him to get Kobe Mainoo. I saw that Amorim said today that he's told him he wants him to stay, and he's shut that down. But I think if he's going to be unhappy, you might be able to find a way to get him out, certainly on loan or something until the end of the season with an option. I'm a new fan. Sorry for a dumb question. No question's ever dumb, apart from should I support Arsenal? That's a silly question. Does he play tomorrow? He doesn't. He wasn't registered in time. You have to be registered before 12 o'clock the day before. So we missed that by a couple of hours. And he also has to have got his visa. And that has not happened yet, his work visa. So he will be, I think, brought out on the pitch tomorrow before or at half time or whatever. And then, yeah, he will be in that squad for the game away at West Ham on the first Saturday or Sunday, whichever day it is, back from the international break. Peterson's in here, says hello and come on you Spurs. Hello, Peterson. I'm 40% sure that we get Lookman. That's what Spurs does to people, not overly confident. 1 second, just looking through. The support has been, we've got over 240 of you in here right now, which is quite unbelievable. A lot of you on Twitter, as I say, if you're on Twitter, come over, come and say hello, come and give your views in the chat about how you're feeling ahead of both Bournemouth tomorrow, which should be good, and Xavi Simmons signing. And I think we should probably get into some more bits of news. Let's have a look. Let's get this up. Right. Again, I think James went over this a little bit yesterday, but this is where he predominantly played more as a left winger in his career, actually, than an attacking midfielder. I think a lot of that attacking midfield is probably more for Leipzig. So I think he'll be brought in as a 10, but can contribute massively, as you can see, on both sides and on the right as well, right? So you've got a guy that, for this idea of this versatile system, can play in all three. Can also play, if you need him to, a little bit deeper as well, and so that's important. So I do like that a lot. Right, let's get on to a little bit of different news very quickly before we sort of talk about Xavi Simmons a little bit more. Fabrizio Romano dropped an exclusive this morning that Tottenham have made an approach with Manchester City for Manuel Akanji. I mean, they're still speaking to City, hence why I think Savinho could still be something that happens. Milan are also in talks. £15 million is very cheap for a guy of his quality. I find that incredible that in today's market he's £15 million. I don't know why he's so cheap. I don't know if I'm missing something, but I think he's a good defender, and I think for that price he comes in and would offer something that we don't really have. And then this fellow, I'm not going to try and pronounce his name, it's poor for me. Jack Goffin, I'm guessing is along those lines. He is a Manchester City writer at the Daily Mail, so you've got to take it with a pinch of salt, obviously, but he focuses on Manchester City, so I would guess he probably has a decent connection with the club, and therefore intel. He said that they've launched a bid for Manuel Akanji. He wants to play in the Champions League next season. AC Milan obviously not in the Champions League. Tottenham are. So yeah, obviously being a Champions League winner himself, as you can see in the photo, he certainly got that experience that he could come in and help actually give us a proper sort of impact. Talking about centre halves as well, we should probably get into this bit of news from Thomas Frank, which I find incredible, that Radu Dragusin will return to first team training in 7 to 10 days time. Obviously did his ACL at the back end of January against Elfsborg. And it was, I think a lot of people probably thought it'd be a little while longer, but yeah, I mean, the fact that he's going to be back in training, he's probably a long way from match fitness, of course. But yeah, I mean, the fact he's this close to being back is a real surprise. So again, second bit of engagement. One in the chat if you think we do need a centre half still with this news, and two if you think we don't need a centre half. Dragusin's coming back. So Vuskovic went out on loan this morning, and Kevin Danso is there. Do they need another centre half? One, if they think they do. Two, if you think they don't. Let me know your thoughts, and I'll pull up a couple more comments while I'm at it. Will Xavi prominently play as an attacking midfielder or on the wing? Your thoughts, please. I would say that he will play as an attacking midfielder, but I think that he could easily play both. And given that Thomas Frank plays these sort of versatile systems, I think we could see sort of a mix and match of different things. So, but I think predominantly he will play as a 10. Jorwa says 1. A1 Synergy says 1 as well. Need another ball player. Can't just have Romero. Do agree. I think obviously the City ones are naturally good ball players, having played under Pep for a while. Are we in for Nathan Ake as well? I think we will go for one of Ake or Akanji. Right now it looks like Akanji, but I would happily take either. Sorry, I've just looked. Nearly 200 of you are watching on Twitter right now, which is amazing for our first stream on Twitter. Obviously today is the first one. yeah, as I say, come over here, give your thoughts in the chat if you can. Come over to YouTube, subscribe. It'd be amazing. It's much appreciated. So yeah, let's keep going. Training just means gym work, of course. Yeah, building up. Don't expect Joe to end of October, November. I would probably have to agree. I have to say. Just going for work, trying to catch up. Of course, mate. Of course, this is a place to be. Bean Super says, Frank, who would your perfect signs be if money was no object? I'll go somewhat realistic still. Savinho, he's the one on the left for me. And then the left-sided centre-half market ain't that sort of crowded at the moment. Lucas Beraldo is one at PSG who's decent. Obviously, Nkapie, it doesn't look like you're going to get. He's probably going to go to Arsenal. Ake is one that I've said about for a while that I do like, but it's quite a limited market. So Akanji, I think, would be a sensible signing. I think he comes in, he improves what you've got, and he's a good player. So yeah, I think he looks like a good egg as well. So that's good. And then I would look to go for a midfielder. Kobe Mainu, Paqueta, Morgan Rogers would be one of the three I would go for. Morgan Rogers would be the dream. I agree. Something's still brewing, right? I have a feeling that Spurs might go for something big still, whether it be Rogers, whether it be Savinho, whether it be someone, as I say, just that we don't know about. Then I've got a feeling this could come true. Thomas Frank said Xavi can play in the 10 or on the left. Yep. He took the number 7 shirt. He did, which I guess maybe indicates the left-hand side. But to be honest, the numbers that are available, I think there was like 7, 26 was available. I'm not really sure what fantastic numbers were available other than 7. So 10 is taken by James Maddison. So it probably was the sensible choice for Xavi Simmons to have. Jordan says, big up, I'm new here. You're a Liverpool fan. If you change that profile picture to Xavi Simmons, then that'd be much appreciated. But welcome in. It's nice to see that we are going from fan base to fan base. Bean Super says, I agree with the idea that we might pull off a worldie as well. I'm just looking through, seeing if there's anything else on Twitter to pull up. He himself tweeted out some phone emojis. That is interesting. Let's have a look. This is a tweet I'm going to pull up because it's made me smile. 1 second. I think this is one that might interest some of you guys watching. It's a great question and one that maybe we need to actually contemplate as a fan base. And James is here as well. Whilst I bring this up, let me remove this quickly. James, how are you, mate?
Hey, hello, mate. Yeah, very good, thank you. How are you? How are you feeling? How's the chat feeling? What a signing, man.
It's all right,
I didn't think we'd get it done. Like, I was so convinced he was going to Chelsea, and then like 3 a.m. last night, he just drops that. Unbelievable. I can't quite believe it, and it's kind of made me feel a bit stupid because I was moaning about the window, and then suddenly we've had this. But yeah, absolutely ecstatic. He's such a good player. I'm sure we'll get into the stats, and you've already been chatting about it. So yeah, buzzing, boys and girls.
It feels like a statement, doesn't it? I know we've been frustrated with them, and don't get me wrong, I still massively am. But it feels like it's a bit of a statement that Spurs don't usually sign players that are great now and could be great in 5 years' time. So that is certainly very exciting. I just wanted to bring this tweet up just because it brings in. It might make some of the chat laugh as it did me. Imagine Daniel Levy turns up tomorrow with cornrows. What do we do as a fan base if this happens? Good question, and a good engagement piece. What do we do as a fan base if that happens?
No idea, to be honest. I mean,
but yeah, wow. It's been a bit of a mental sort of 24 hours because I mean, I was out last night, and just before I went out, there was the news that they were sort of sniffing around still. They apparently lodged a bid. They didn't. We then heard nothing sort of more on that, and then I think I went to bed about 1:30, and it was still kind of that same thing. And I woke up this morning to about Fabrizio Romano, David Ornstein, a lot of them, and it was done, signed, and I mean they were working overtime whilst Todd Bowley slept, it seemed.
Brilliant. Yeah, when you saw it was Ornstein tweeting it this morning, though, you were like, "Yeah, this is done." But then we got Here We Go, and even at that point, I wasn't sure to like start celebrating or not. But no, buzzing. What's oh, have I frozen? No, I'm good. What I was going to say, yeah, a little engagement piece in the chat. I heard you ask about what you'd rate the window, but maybe we could get people's actual like ratings out of 10 now in the chat. Like at the moment for me, without any more signings, it's probably now a 7 out of 10, maybe 7.5 out of 10. But it was a 4 or a 5 before Xavi Simmons. So I think it's made such a difference. And yeah, absolutely ecstatic, to be honest with you. I heard you also saying like potentially a Savinho. I don't see it. I don't see us getting Savinho. I don't think City will play ball. Akanji would be an interesting one, but again, will City want to do business with us? I'm not too sure. So yeah, time will tell. But let's see what people are saying in the chat. Lynch has gone for a 6. Logan's gone for an 8. So it's very much like an average of a 7 here. What's up, Abdulrahman? Hope you're good. This is 6, 7. Yeah, 6, 7, or 8. Yeah.
The thing is that I'm kind of at is that if you told me before the window started that we'd end up in this window, Soddy was going to go fine, but we were going to bring in Mohamed Kudus, Xavi Simmons, João Paulinho, and tell who I liked a lot at the time. I don't like him now, but I liked him a lot at the time on a permanent. And then you're going to bring in a young guy we don't really know about. Then I would have been very happy. Given how it's gone and given the planning and everything, I'm still not happy. And that's the. I'm probably at a 6.5. I would probably go as far as that's probably the limit. The players, the individuals we brought in have been good, and I'm very pleased with the individuals we brought in. I still think we're lacking. I still think we're missing some players, but I think the quality of the players we brought in has been very good. Like as in Paulinho, Kudus, and Xavi Simmons, high quality players. They've all got experience, but they can all help you go forward, and that. I still think they need another one. I still think they need another 2 probably in the last couple of days, though.
Absolutely. I mean, like, are we being pedantic, chat? Like, are we being pedantic by saying Xavi Simmons should have been done a week or 2 ago? Because like, the only thing I'm thinking is right, he's not available tomorrow, and this might be me being too pedantic, but he's not available tomorrow, right? It's quite a big game to kick on. Make sure we stay top of the table or joint top of the table. The fact he's not available, I'm not joking. Like it could be the difference between winning and losing that game. Like we could come out tomorrow and go, we could have really done a 10 to be creative in that game against Bournemouth. And someone's saying he is available. I'm sure I saw Alistair Gold say he's not available. He hasn't got a work permit.
He hasn't got that, and he wasn't signed before 12 o'clock today. I don't think.
There you go. So he's not available, 100%. But yeah, my point is like if he was signed before that deadline and he got his work permit, you suddenly go into tomorrow and you're so much more confident. That's how much of an impact this player is going to make to our team. And that's the only thing I'd say is if I was being slightly harsh, it's do the business earlier, because now we're still talking about, as Lynch has put, like 2 players and a loan. That's all we did before, but 2 more players, a left centre back, a left winger, and then you're looking at a 9 out of 10 window, aren't you? So for me, it's like, great, we're doing the business. I'm buzzing. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm buzzing. Xavi Simmons is probably one of the biggest profile names we've signed in 10 years, maybe. But like, it's the fact that it's all so last minute. The fan base was in disarray, like even yesterday. It's just like, imagine Chelsea beat us to him. Like, it just would be chaos. But anyway, let's not talk about that because it's not happened. But I'm just looking at the numbers, like 300 and something of you, but like most of you are watching on X. So we've started streaming on Twitter as well now. So if you're over on Twitter, do me a massive favor. Firstly, retweet the stream. And secondly, come over to YouTube, because the chat we get up isn't the Twitter chat. I don't even know if you can live chat in Twitter. I'm so new to it. So come over to YouTube, which is youtube.com/@SpursRelated. In fact, no, you won't even be able to see the chat. But come over to YouTube, just type in SpursRelated and come into the live chat, subscribe, and say you've come over from Twitter. I'm sure I actually need to retweet the stream on mine because that'll go to a few thousand. Anyway, I'll hand back to you because there's a lot of chats to catch up on.
Yeah, I bring. Surprised we got Xavi done. Pleased but surprised. Yeah, I think that's probably the common theme, isn't it? I mean, really important we give him time. Bundesliga is a world away from relentlessness of Prem. Verts is a good example. Yeah, I agree. It's going to be sort of maybe tough for him to bet in at the start, but I think he's going to be technically a good player. I think, as you said, the profile of him is kind of what I like. That we're talking about a kid who we've known about for years. Like he's only just 22 in April. We've known about him since he was like 13, 14. When I said earlier on that Rising Ballers and all these accounts posted all these videos of him in the Barcelona academy, and this kid's the next superstar and this and that. And so many players crumble under that. And we've seen them, so many in time that crumble under that sort of pressure. I mean, probably Karamoko Dembele, who was at Celtic, is probably the best example of that. And now he's sort of been in the lower leagues of English football and things like that. He's had a decent career, but he's not hit the heights that people kind of thought, right? And so sometimes these young Karamoko Dembele, who was at Celtic, I remember him being when he was like sort of he's probably 19, he's probably 20, 21 now, but I remember at the time when he was 11 being hyped up that he was playing in the under 18s or whatever.
Yeah.
And Xavi Simmons was one of these guys that had all this pressure. I mean, he's got 7 odd million followers on Instagram. He's a big name, right? He's a big
I saw
name.
that.
It's mental. He's a really well-known name. And we spoke about needing a franchise player and someone that can be the poster boy of this a little bit. And this is what it feels like. He's obviously a top player anyway, aside of that. But it feels like this to me feels like a statement in terms of this is a guy that's going to be here and be the front of everything. He's going to score goals. He's going to get assists. He's going to create things. He's going to run games of football on his own when he fancies it. And I hope that is more often than not, because I'm very excited by him.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. Have you delved? I know I was a little bit late. Have you delved into the stats, some of these graphs yet?
Yeah, we've gone through those a little bit less, maybe sort of the FBref numbers, but I went through certainly that one.
Sorry to bring up again. I'm
going
to just hide this. Like for me, I'm not even just saying it because I'm trying to cope with the fact we didn't get Eberechi Eze. Like for me, if you look at this piece here, like how much more Xavi Simmons has to offer than Eberechi Eze, and you could argue it's just one piece. You could argue it's just one statistic, one source. But Eberechi Eze is obviously Prem proven. That's the one that for me is his biggest trait, and the fact he's very direct, the fact that he does pop up with goals and assists, and the fact that he's kind of like Eberechi Eze is a massive name. But Xavi Simmons, if he can come and do what he does in the Premier League what he did in the Bundesliga over in the Premier League, suddenly he's as big of a name as Eze, if not bigger for me, especially if he can bring in all of these traits, right? Better assists, better goal creating actions, better touches, more progressive passes, more through balls, more expected. Do you see what I mean? Like if he can come and bring all of this to the table straight away, suddenly he offers more than Eze. And I'm genuinely not just saying it because I'm annoyed we missed out on Eze. For me, this is such a nice way to sort of overshadow what was a terrible story earlier on, right? The fact that we lost out on Eze, and the fact that now the fan base is absolutely, buzzing is just class, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's this one here, right? And obviously, it depends how much people have seen of him and whatever, and the Premier League is obviously a different level. But he's going to be someone that's going to get you off your seat. He's going to excite you. He's going to carry the ball forward. He's going to drop in deep and pick it up and drive with it, and create things. And he's a technically unbelievably gifted footballer. Unbelievably gifted. It might take him a little while to bed in because the Premier League is a different level and it is a different intensity and a different, physical level and all these different things. But we're talking about a guy who's so unbelievably gifted that it feels like it should work. And also, like another thing as well, I get the idea of that, and he's quite small and he's not maybe the biggest or whatever in terms of sort of physicality. But he's also not like, it's not like we've brought someone in off the street. Do you know what I mean? That he's this guy who he's a physically fit footballer, right? He's
Yeah,
not
exactly.
He's, and I don't mean this in any, but he's not like 95 years old. He's a 22-year-old athlete, right? He's not. We're bringing in a guy who, yeah, it might take a little bit of time to initially bed in, but once he gets going, that's not going to be a problem at all. This is going to be something. This shouldn't be a problem at all. This is going to be something that just. I think we sit back and laugh in a year's time and go, why are we worried that he wasn't going to be physical enough? You know, I mean, there's the video of him just sort of Declan Rice just sort of falling off of him last year when England played him and him smashing him into the top corner. I mean, and what I like him there, as I was about to say, there's a comment that comes up there. He looks small, but he works. He's the same height as Eze, same height as Odegaard, and bigger than Morgan Gibbs-White. I mean, there you go, right? He works unbelievably hard. I watched a compilation of him the other day, and the first minute and a half of the compilation was solely tackles and him running back and backing back. And we're talking about
I saw someone, Frank, arguing that he can play in the 8. I'm not so sure. I think for me, his best position is going to be the 10, and then maybe on the left as well. But like, for example, it'd be interesting to see what Tottenham do now. If they manage to get a left wing in, Xavi Simmons is 100% our starting 10. If they don't get a left winger in, you could argue that does he go onto the left and then you play someone else in the 10, you know, like Pape Matar, for example, or does Kudus come in and then Johnson on the right? You know, there is then options. So I think if we don't get a left winger, it would be a shame. However, the fact that Simmons can play on the left is an interesting option as well. Don't you think?
Yeah, massively. And as I say, it's all about having versatility and all this different stuff in these systems, and so it gives you choice. It gives you different opportunities to play different ways, and so there'll be times when we play bigger teams, and I think he might play on the left with Kudus because these guys can drop in and defend a little bit more and play in that midfield role. And there'll be times when we play teams that, and I think he'll play on the left in those sort of games. There's times we'll play teams who will have a lot of the ball, and I think he'll play on the 10, and you'll have wingers that will go at people, and so. Different games, different needs, different wants, and you know that's what he's going to be useful for. I mean, this kind of one from A1 here about being more excited about him than Eze. I said it when Eze was still a target for Tottenham on here. That I said at the time that I thought Eze had a ceiling. Eze was a great player, but you knew what you were going to get. He was going to take you up a level, but was he going to be one of the best midfielders in the country? I'm not sure. Savinho could be one of the best wingers in the world. I have no doubt about that. That's why I love the idea. Maybe his numbers right now are a little bit low, but I can see there's an idea with him that there's a way forward. And I think the same with Xavi Simmons.
Do you know what, mate? I think you're more sold on Savinho than me. That's my general. I think I'm more excited about Simons than if I was that Savinho comes in. The only reason I'm saying that is I get what you're saying. Savinho's ceiling is probably the highest, even probably over Simons. But for me, Savinho still isn't Prem proven. I don't know if that's controversial, but like the fact he got 1 goal, 5 assists or 6 assists last season, it's not overwhelming for me. And okay, when I see him on the ball, I'm like, yeah, he's an incredible dribbler. He's incredible at taking his man on. He puts in a good cross. But like, I genuinely think Simons will make a bigger impact than what Savinho would at Tottenham. And I'm genuinely not saying that because I don't think Savinho will happen. Like, obviously, I'd be still happy with it. But I genuinely wouldn't mind having like an Ademola Lookman instead of Savinho. And I know you don't agree on that. But I'm not sure Savinho is the level that you're saying, for me anyway. I don't know. What does the chat think? Like, maybe we're doing an engagement piece. Would you rather have Lookman or Savinho? Maybe I'm wrong. Put in a 1 if you'd rather Savinho, or a 2 if you'd rather Lookman. Let's see. That'd be interesting. Put it in the chat.
My kind of fear is I think Lookman has a ceiling. I think he comes in, he makes an impact, but I think he has a ceiling. I think Savinho is one of these players that come around and an opportunity comes around a little bit like when Dybala did. And I know Dybala maybe hasn't been as incredible as maybe he should have been, but a little bit when that opportunity came around, I look at Savinho and I go, in 3 years' time, he could easily be the best left winger on the planet. And he could be wherever he wants to be, but he could still be at City, Madrid, whatever. I think he's talented enough to be that good. And I think getting him in now, I think he could end up being one of Tottenham's best signings ever. And that's kind of why I'm so sold on this. There's something about him that some of his assists and things, yeah, his numbers aren't ideal right now, and they're not as high as maybe you'd like them. But some of the assists and things are so perfect, and so some of the passes he makes, and some of he just, I think, is an intelligent footballer. I mean, I think. Sorry, I just didn't reply to that as well. I think you're not you particularly, but I think anyone that is not still unhappy about Daniel Levy just because of what's happened today is probably not a real Spurs fan. Is my hunch.
It'd be interesting. Be interesting to see what difference it makes on the planned protest tomorrow.
I hope it makes no difference, because ultimately,
but it will, Frank.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure it does. Listen, the deal's great, and I think everyone's very happy, and we're all. The window individually, the players we brought in have been great. The window has been an absolute shambles, and that's not solely because of the players we brought in, but it's the dead silence all the time. It's the waiting 3 weeks to do everything all the time. It's the lack of outgoings. It's a lot of different things. I mean, as I say, and I'm not gonna go too much into it now, but they spent 2.5 weeks on sacking Ange. Spent 3 weeks. I'd spent another 2 weeks letting Thomas Frank pick his players and see who he liked, see who he didn't like. We've not got rid of the players he didn't like. Also, we obviously then went on tour. Morgan Gibbs-White then happened and then didn't happen, but that took 3 weeks or 2.5, 3 weeks. Then Eze took a load of time. Savinho has taken a load of time. This has been the quickest thing that Spurs have done in ages, and that's because they had no real choice, because they're panicking. They were panicking. They were running out of time, and they had to probably go and do something. And so they've gone in. They've gone, we'll pay you the money. We'll pay you what you want. Just we need you. And so they've got it done. And fantastic. But that isn't a good enough business plan. They've got lucky. As I said the other day, whoever they got in, this was 3 or 4 days ago, I said it, that whoever they got in, this wasn't down to fantastic recruitment, or this wasn't down to, maybe they didn't want Eze. Maybe they didn't. But it was pretty clear they probably did. A lot of these guys, they obviously clearly wanted. Gibbs-White they had wrapped up pretty much, and whatever. It's been and I'm not blaming Gibbs-White on them also, by the way, but the general window has been a shambles. The individuals they brought in have been fantastic, and I'm very pleased. I still think they're a little way off. I still think they're probably in a slightly weaker position in terms of numbers that they were at the back end of last season. So it's still an important couple of days. They've got to get some more players in. As I say, the individuals have been very good, and I'm very pleased with who they brought in individually. I worry still, though, given this year you've got the Champions League, and where the difference is, in the first 8 games of the Europa League, you could play Will Lancashire, you could play Mikey Moore, you could play whoever, right? You can't do that in the Champions League. You need a full 11 that are capable of being at the top level. Yes, the draw maybe is a little bit easier than we maybe anticipated, but you've still got to be on it. You've still got to be at your best. And so you've got to play a full strength side. And right now, Spurs have a good 15 players. We're still a few players off, I think. And that's as I say. So far, the window is still a 6. That's a push 7 out of 10. But they still need another centre half, and they still need another winger.
Absolutely, mate. Absolutely. Another engagement piece. I love doing them. It gets you guys, active with your thumbs on the live chat if you're watching on phone, or maybe you're watching on the computer. But those of you on Twitter as well, for when we do the engagement piece, I can see literally, like, this is our first stream on Twitter, and there's 300 of you. To be honest, I don't actually know if that number means that 300 are actually got it on their screen, or whether they've scrolled past it. I mean, perhaps someone can tell me. But either way, if you're watching on Twitter and you're listening to me right now, come over to our YouTube, because we do a lot of engagement pieces, and like the plan is to eventually do like some competitions and some stuff, like, we've got a community going on here. So the chat we bring up on the screen now, like, for example, Roy, this is from YouTube, and I don't think it works with Twitter. So yeah, the 300 of you on Twitter, come over to YouTube, come and join the chat, come and subscribe to Spurs Related. We literally do content every single day. Frank and I, we've been absolutely smashing it out, and you guys seem to be enjoying it on YouTube. So yeah, come over to YouTube, please, and let us know if you come over from Twitter. I'll give you a little shout out on the screen. But what was I going to say? Obviously, those of you watching on YouTube, I can see there's only 70 likes on the video. Let's get that straight up to 100, guys. Smash the like, smash the subscribe. But I've even subscribe, and noties on, and it's all free to do so. What was the comment I was talking about? Yeah, so I brought this on screen because of the versatility. of Simmons. Like, we brought this up in yesterday's stream. You know, he can fit in the left wing. He can fit on the attacking mid. He could even fit on the right. See, worst case scenario, Kudus gets injured. You just heard me touch wood, because hopefully it never happens. But if it does happen, could you see Simmons on the right as well? He can do it. He can even play as a second striker. So the fact he's so versatile, and the fact Kudus is so versatile, is so good for me. Like, it gives us so many options. It gives us so much quality in the final third. And you were scratching your head thinking, like, we're gonna have Tell or Odobert on the left. Not to say those players are not good, but perhaps, you know, they're not the starting 11 quality we need right now. I'd like to see them develop for like a year or two, and then maybe come into the first team, depending on how it works, especially with Tell. I think we've got to be patient with Tell. But for me, like, the fact that we now got Simmons, we've got Kudus, you know, we hopefully get another one coming in. We've got Richarlison firing on all cylinders. Solanke's raring and ready to go off the bench. You know, we've got all these options now, and Johnson, of course, still a big part of that with the goal contributions. Suddenly it's a completely different dynamic at Tottenham, and we are an absolute threat to teams going forwards, right?
Yeah, I'm still a little bit concerned, and I hate to bang the pessimistic drum, but I'm a little bit concerned, and that's only because right now, and bringing in Simmons is massive, right? But right now, a lot of it still, I think, will go through Kudus. I think they need, as I say, another one on that left-hand side. The other bit I'm a little bit concerned about is I think both the number 9s have tendencies to get injured, and that concerns me as well. I think tomorrow Richarlison will start. I think come West Ham in the 4th game, I think Solanke will start, solely because Richarlison's going on international duty and Solanke's not. Obviously, Richarlison going to South America. I imagine it will probably be one that they'll leave him out to keep him protected, and Solanke can slot back in. But I fear that we get to a point where all of a sudden we get to November and neither of them are fit. And I know you've got Tell and you've got Johnson can play there, but like, that worries me a little bit. I mean, I don't think it's a priority now, but certainly in January, if there was a deal for I used Morata as an example, obviously he's just gone to Como, but that sort of player that's on loan for 6 months that just needs to play ahead of the World Cup, then I think that's certainly something that Spurs should look at. But if that's not a major priority now, but that would be sort of in my thinking ahead of January. But yeah, as you say, the dynamic is shifting. I still think they need another, again, a winger. They need a left winger. Yeah, you got Dane Skylar, I guess, a little bit as well. I mean, yeah, I forgot about him. But you need a left winger, and you need a left-sided centre half.
Yeah, I agree, and it'd be interesting to see with Akanji. Would you forgive me for forgetting, because I know Nathan Ake can play on the left. He can play left back and left centre back. Would Akanji be a left centre back or a right centre back?
Well, I actually thought Akanji was on the right. He's right foot. I thought he was. He plays.
That's what I thought. So why are we going for Akanji, not Ake? Just out of curiosity.
I get the idea. What I get about it, and I did wonder if this was going to be the thought process, is that he can play. He's quite 2-footed and he's good on the ball. He's comfortable on the ball, so he can certainly play both. But what you also have in him as well is they obviously want to use Spence as a left back, and so that's then the argument that we actually need a right back, which I think I mentioned in a video the other day that once they've worked out what Spence is going to be, now that Dodgy's back, they obviously want him as a left back. That I think they're probably going to have to look at a right-sided. Then you need probably 2. You need a right back and a left-sided centre half. With him, he's someone that can play as a right back and he can play both centre halves. Plays both centre halves because he's so comfortable on the ball, and so 2-footed, having played for Pep or whatever. So I get the idea, and I think as well. I think he's probably one of the most underrated defenders in the Premier League. I think he's very good. I question Manchester City defenders sometimes because I worry about City defenders because I think often teams don't go at them as much, and so we saw it with like Ruben Diaz. Every time we ever attacked him, and every time that Kane often went at Ruben Diaz, he got skinned, and that was largely because I don't think they're actually fantastic defenders. I think they're great ball players, and I think they're great players. I'm not sure they're fantastic defenders, and I think, but I have to say, I think since Akanji's been here, I've been very impressed defensively with him, as well as being on the ball and being able to play that role.
Absolutely. We've got Sam in here. Sam, how you doing, mate? You good?
Yeah, mate. Well, we didn't get a Chelsea hijack, so I'm over the moon, lads. How are you guys?
Yeah, all good, mate. All good. We'll bring you in with your thoughts in a minute. I've just got up on screen the Akanji stuff because we were discussing whether if we got Akanji, the idea for those of you that are watching and don't know, we've approached City for Akanji rather than Ake, who we thought may happen. Like this transfer market breakdown saying he's like a centre back. So I'm thinking at a 5 at the back, if we play 5 at the back, you could see Van der Ven left centre back, Akanji centre back, Romero right centre back, and that's probably why they're bringing him in for the depth. Although I'm sure he can play right centre back or left centre back because if you look, he's played right back and he's played left back. So and he's played defensive midfield 4 times. So I mean, do we class that as versatile? Or do we class that as the opposite? Because it's very much like not left centre back or right centre back. What do you think, Sam, on this one?
I mean, I was very impressed when Akanji first came in. It looked like a really like shrewd bit of business from Man City. I think you're right about like when you actually press City and take the game to them, they do look less good. I mean, you mentioned Ruben Diaz, who's one of the players that I don't like dislike him, but I hate him. One, because he's dating Maya Jama. And two,
I was going to mention, I was thinking, like, why do you hate him so much?
and two, because he won Player of the Season that year that Kane was top scorer and top assister. So it's not even his fault that I hate him. I just hate him. But yeah, I mean, we even saw the same with when they had like Aymeric Laporte. If you remember, he should have been sent off in that final that we lost with Ryan Mason in the Carabao Cup. And I feel like City don't let players go unless they think that they can improve them. I think that's one thing I would obviously bear in mind. But I was just quickly looking up that Akanji and Ake are both 30. So it'd be interesting to see which one they do go for. I can understand why they'd want to upgrade on both of them because the way that football transfers are going, it seems to be like sort of 18 to 24 is the target age. And these older signings, they're not really making it anymore, which I guess is why it's a little bit odd, especially with our the way that we do transfers, is that we've brought in Palhinha. Not that I'm complaining because, as you know, I was pretty for him before. But with Akanji, look, I'd be pretty happy with Akanji. I think I'd still prefer Ake because I want an out-and-out left footer. But again, I would definitely not be unhappy with Akanji.
Maybe they trust Benny Davies for one more year. Maybe they're like, yeah, we don't need left centre back option. We've got Ben Davies, the absolute legend of the club, 11 years and counting. What was I going to say? Yeah, let's bring up the Akanji news because people are probably sitting there in the chat thinking, why are we talking about Akanji? And for those of you that didn't see it earlier, let's bring it onto stage. That's not the right one. Here we go. So, yeah, Fabrizio said around lunchtime, the Tottenham make an approach with Man City for Manuel Akanji, one of 3 names on the shortlist. Thanks, Fabrizio, for not telling us the other 2. AC Milan are also in talks over move for the defender, ready to pay 15 mil. 15 mil seems a steal for him, by the way. Yeah, how much has he got left in his contract?
I'm not sure, but I reckon that I saw that apparently they were looking at 30 million for Ake. So if it is 15 million, then you've got your answer why they're going for Akanji over Ake.
It's because he's got 2 years left. Why are they
letting
him go that cheap?
I think if Akanji had a week left on his contract, 15 million would be a steal. I think Akanji has impressed me more than most City defenders do. Ake as well, by the way, and it's not because we're linked to pair of them, but I think they're both defensively good defenders. Comfortable enough on the ball, and so 15 million in this market. If I look at it and I go, that back line of 5 centre halves that we've got, Romero, Van der Ven, Dragusin, Danso, and Akanji cost 140 million. I want to say all in all, give or take. That is pretty unbelievable business. Like whether you're Dragusin's biggest fan or But in the last 6 months, if they got £35 million spent on Akanji and Danso, I mean, that's unbelievable business. Like, I would argue, I don't think we would have won the Europa League without Kevin Danso. And now you're bringing in a guy who's of equal quality, I'd argue probably better, as another option for 15 million, who's won the Champions League, he's won the Premier League, he's played in a team that's comfortable on the ball, so he's part of that. He's a threat in the air from set pieces and things. He offers a lot. He's very quick. As I say, play on either side. It to me is one that I'm very, very keen on, and probably one that maybe I didn't mention as much because I never thought there was a potential that he would go for that little. But yeah, I mean, Ake was the first one that I kind of sort of thought I fancied, but this has excited me today, which is mental because he's probably going to be a backup centre half.
But Frank, having said the 15 mil mark, don't forget this is what AC Milan want to pay. That doesn't necessarily mean Man City are going to accept it, I don't believe. And also, goes back to my argument about big journalists tweeting out news like this. You know, you never know if some clubs are looking at Fabrizio Romano and going, "Oh, AC Milan are going to get him 15 mil. We'll have a quick call. We'll give him 20." You know, so my point is, even if we get Akanji for 20 mil, I still agree. I think it's a great deal, and the fact he's got 2 years left, I didn't actually realise Akanji and Ake. You forget they're both 30, and that's actually very unlike Spurs to buy players over like 25 at the moment. It seems like I can't remember who was the last player we signed over that age. It's like
Palinha.
How old's Kudus? 24?
24.
Palinha is obviously only on loan, but he was the...
Was Bentancur like 26 when we signed him?
Madison.
But my point is, like, it's clearly for backup, right? And that would be crazy squad depth. Like having Manuel Akanji on the bench, suddenly you're like, actually, wow, yeah, we've actually got some good squad depth in defence as well now. I mean, in my opinion, I'd argue that Vuskovic shouldn't have ever been loaned. I still don't quite understand that. I mean, I just don't get the logic in loaning Vuskovic.
I understand it more if you get Akanji in.
Yeah, you do get that, but also at the same time, you know, doesn't it not make sense that Vuskovic sticks around because we've got Carabao Cup to play him in those games, FA Cup to play him in those games, some of the Champions League ones, maybe. You know,
I get the point, but I kind of think as well that playing a weaker team in obviously we've got Doncaster in the first round of the cup, so you should beat that kind of with whatever you play. And I'd like to see Junai Byfield and Williams Barnett and some of these guys play, and I'm sure we'll talk about that nearer the time. But I do think in a lot of these other games, you know, squads are becoming so big now, right? A lot of these all big clubs that win things have big squads. And as much as I like Luka Vuskovic right now and Costa Kai and whatever and all these guys, they're not yet, I don't think, at a level that can see them compete in the Champions League. And like even FA Cup games, if you're going away to Burnley in the FA Cup, you could start Vuskovic. But then if you lose, you'll go, well, why do we start Vuskovic? Now at least you go, we're starting Akanji, and next to him is going to be Kevin Danso. We're talking about guys who have played in the Champions League. They've won the Champions League, or Akanji has, and the Premier League, played in numerous different leagues across Europe, this and that. And this is what we're going with. We're going with European level centre-halves now, both internationals for their country. And Vuskovic, as much as I like him, is just 18. He's going to develop, but I think a year abroad probably does him good. And then all of a sudden, and then as well, right, Akanji will be 31, pushing 32 or whatever in a year's time if you get Akanji. And so he probably pushes on. My hunch is that it probably won't be Akanji. It'll be one of the other two names on the shortlist. Because I say it's someone, we will still sign another one or two players, and one of them is going to be completely out of nowhere, because that's what we tend to do. I would put my money on it that they will get someone that is just so out of nowhere, and I imagine it'll be one of the two on those lists.
I think the reason that the only reason I can really see for them like loaning Vuskovic is that they obviously see, and that's kind of what Frank was saying, they obviously see potentially playing every single week as much better for his development, for a young defender who has basically played every week since he sort of broke onto the scene. rather than, maybe he gets like one start a month or something, right? And they're thinking, 10 minutes here and there versus 70 minutes or whatever every week or every other week would be much better for his development. And I'm not 100% certain on this, but I've seen people say that the style of the Bundesliga is probably one of the most similar to the Premier League. Not that it's the same quality, but the actual style of play. So maybe they're thinking, send him there to a first division. I know that, a lot of people probably would say, well, so if you want him to get experience, get him experience in the English game, and like get him in the Championship or something. But maybe they're just thinking, Hamburg is a good opportunity for a team that's probably going to be struggling, not got unbelievable talent to choose from in Vuckovic's position. They could probably work his way in there if he is as good as people think he is. And then maybe he comes back, with much more experience rather than just sort of sitting and waiting for his time to shine.
Yeah, agreed. I think, as I say, and as you kind of touch on, that if they want to compete on all four fronts, then sending Vuckovic to go out on loan and develop himself is also as well with the German league. As you say, it's quite similar to the Premier League, but what I think the difference is over there is defensively, it's probably not as good. And so if you send him over there, he's probably going to look like one of the better defenders over there pretty quickly, I would imagine, if he's as good as we seem to think he is. And confidence-wise, so it's a big boost for him, right? So that should help his development, aid his development, sort of hopefully quicker as well. So I think the loan makes sense, but they have to then get someone in. I imagine the fact that the loan has happened now is that they probably know that they're getting someone in relatively quickly. And I think, as I say, something's going to come out of nowhere, whether it's Akanji or not. Something's going to come and it's going to break pretty quick. I mean, like Danso in January. I mean, he was going to Wolves, and I remember reading one report, and within an hour it was done. Like, that's the sort of thing I'm talking. It's going to come literally out of nowhere, and Spurs are going to wrap up a deal for a pretty good player, I'm hoping.
Yeah, I agree. Time will tell. So I guess, 4 days left of this window now? No, 3 days left of this window now. Saturday, obviously, you'd imagine not a lot's going to happen with the game happening. So it's really Sunday and Monday. I think there'll be one more signing. Engagement piece for the chat, people watching. Pop it in the live chat. How many signings do you think are going to come before the end of the window? Is it 1? Is it 0? Is it 2? Sam, I'm going to ask you that exact same question, mate. How many signings before the end of the window, and what's your prediction? Who do you think we're gonna get in?
I was thinking about this earlier on today, and I kind of agree with you. I think that we can. So I'd be willing to bet that we'd bring in one more, right? I think we need more than that. I think we need a minimum of 2. But I think that we can kind of bank on them bringing in at least 1, and then they'll say, we tried, which they have. But I think a lot of us probably, when the season ended, were thinking there was a slight hope that having won the Europa League and been in the Champions League, that we might change our tactics in the windows. But I think a lot of us probably knew deep down, and I've said it on a few podcasts when people have been sort of pulling their hair out about how there was such a lack of movement in the window. And I'm not here saying that it wasn't right to be stressed, because it was. I've said it before, we needed players in early so that they could get used to, if they were foreign, used to the country and sort of the style of play, but also to learn Frank stuff, because a lot of the players don't even know that. So I don't know. I think that realistically we really need another attacker. For me, I've seen a lot of people saying we should go for Ademola Lookman. He looks like a very solid player, can play across the front line. But I can kind of see them going for a centre-back, because I feel like it'll be an easier deal to do. I kind of agree with what Frank said before about it probably not being Akanji, and that's most likely because I'm sure for 15 to 20 million, if that is the right price, that someone who actually needs a starting centre-back will go for him. And if they're a decent enough team, he'll join them, I reckon, rather than coming to potentially sit on the bench behind Van der Ven and Romero. I didn't want to use backup because I know that Johnny will scold me, but I do think that they'll come in and there'll be a rotation. He would be a rotation option rather than being like a definite starter, which I think we can all agree with. And maybe at 30, thinking it's his last big move, that's not the kind of move that he wants.
100%. Good stuff, Johnny. Welcome to the stream, mate. I know you've been busy on all sorts of different channels. You haven't stopped.
Yeah, I haven't stopped. Just to throw in there, Sam, interesting because in the Premier League, they're only going to offer him potentially a 2+1 in the Premier League. AC Milan, it's been reported, have offered him a 5-year contract, which no one's going to be able to compete with. That's Akanji, not Ake. I get your sentiment. I said the same thing myself. You know, we would like to get another centre back. In fact, it's been the number one. Well, the first priorities, I was told, after the final in Bilbao, was a right winger and a centre back was the priorities at that moment in time, and we still haven't fulfilled that obligation. And the other thing is, I think we're too threadbare. I mean, Liverpool are extremely threadbare. I mean, they're playing with just Virgil van Dijk, Konate, and I'm always injured, Joe Gomez. So they just bought a Leone and they need Mark Gahey. But I don't think we first team, I think we're bang on it. But any injuries to our centre-backs, to Romero, we can handle. With the Danso, the left side, I'm still not convinced that we can handle an injury to Mickey van der Ven right now. No disrespect to Ben Davies, he'll find a way. I was actually thinking, I'll be honest with you, that we need to be looking at Jed Spence or Jedley King potentially coming in as a weight left centre back. He's got the pace, he's got the height. I'm just saying, if you don't have anybody, you've got Destiny that can play alongside him on the left hand side. I'm just saying, if needs must, I'd rather see that than see a Ben Davies or someone shoehorned in that can't play on that side. If I'm saying this is like.
No, mate. I'm going to ask you a follow-up. On that. Are you saying Jed Spence left centre-back in a 5, or are you saying Jed Spence left centre-back in a 4?
I think whichever one needs to be done. Probably in the 5, probably. But
I think 5, you're scraping it. 4, no chance. I don't think Jed Spence is going to be a centre-back in a 4.
Listen, I'm just saying to you, if needs must, if you're going to go down and take the risk, right? I would rather see someone like Jed Spence, who defensively is sound, who's got the pace and the defensive skills to pocket most people, and he's good in the air, mate. That's the other thing.
Yeah.
For me, you've got to get the left wing and you've got to get the centre back. You get those two over the line, and this becomes a 9 out of 10 window. I've got to be honest with you, as far as I'm concerned. 100%, mate. Lookman.
What's that?
We're saying, were you dismissing Lookman because he's been before Savio?
No, I was saying that he would be a good option. I mean, obviously the Savio stuff is interesting because if we're to believe what's sort of being reported, he is apparently kicking up a bit of a fuss. Whether that will result in him actually handing in a transfer request rather than just like looking at Pep with daggers. That remains to be seen. But I mean, Lookman, he's done it in the final, and that's more than we can say for a lot of the players that we've had over the years. And I don't want to disrespect him by mentioning his name, but there's a certain top scorer that never really did it in any of the big games. So Lookman does have that in his locker, and as much as who was the manager? Was it Italiano that said about him being the worst penalty taker ever?
Well, you can find.
Listen,
all I know is he's left wing, right wing, false 9, 20 GA last season. He's done it for the last 3 seasons. It's not like it's a one-off. he's come up the hard way. This is a kid that's played League One. It feels like he's been around forever. And most people say, oh, he's a failure in Premier League. League One, Premier League. He's 27 now. Go back to when he was playing in the Premier League. This whole thing that you're meant to be oven ready at 18, 19, 20 is like ridiculous. So for me, he's exactly what Thomas Frank wants. Direct, causes problems, very good finisher. And if you can imagine those three in transition from defence to attack between Kudus, Xavi, Simmons, Lookman with Richie at the spear, with Paulinho tucked in behind it, it makes you want to salivate.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. Johnny, I'll stick with you for just a quick one, because obviously we've been talking about Simons, obviously massive signing, announced just an hour ago. All the hype. I haven't actually seen the interview yet, if there is one. Just quickly, mate, how buzzing are you with this signing? And secondly, I was saying earlier, like, we can forget about Eze now because, number one, he wanted to go to Arsenal, and number two, I genuinely believe Simons, if he can convert what he did in the Bundesliga to the Premier League, he is as good as Eze, if not better, and offers more. What do you think, mate? Do you think I'm waffling, or do you agree?
No, I think you're doing the wrong comparisons. I think they're totally different types of players. I think I think Simmons is a really dynamic player. He's a 10 with like 8 characteristics. He can play off the left. I think Eze's style is more languid. I think they're different styles. I think they're totally different styles. He's quick. He's dynamic. He runs at play. I personally think they're different players. I love the way Spurs recruitment have gone about it in reverse order. They ended with the one that should have been first. In my mind, they should have started with Simmons, then gone Eze, then gone Morgan Gibbs-White, in my opinion. But they did it the other way around. And sometimes, through adversity comes success, and I think this is what's happened here. I did say it, though, on Football Inc. a few times, more than a few times, actually, that I felt that, one of these deals, both him and Garnacho are waiting for weeks on end for the here we go, for them to go to Chelsea. I had the joke that they're both sat in their cars outside Stamford Bridge waiting for the call from Todd. And I didn't think both would get done. I thought one would be left at the gate. And I actually thought it'd be Garnacho, if I'm honest. But the fact of the matter is, when they went for Garnacho, I think that was a slight, if I'm honest, to Xavi Simmons, in the sense that, oh, I see. So Garnacho, you kept me waiting all this time, but Garnacho is the one that you want first and foremost. Okay, Spurs jumped in, done the deal, paid more wages, because Chelsea don't pay big wages. They give them longer deals, but less wages. Spurs have jumped in with the contract and the wages, which they can afford to do now after losing Harry Kane's wages, Lloris's wages, and Sonny's wages, and not really filling that void other than Cuti Romero getting a wage rise. There was more than enough wiggle room to pay him exactly what he wanted. And he's done the deal. That's it.
200k, right? 200k a week, which I think makes him the top earner or the second top earner.
Yeah, but how many players have we got earning over 100 grand a week? Not many.
Not many. 5.
If you look at the chart, we got no one at 300. We've now got 2 at 200 or above, and not many more, below. So, I'm not going to be worrying about our wage, considering that when we were at 42% of our income spent on wages, we still had Sonny. We weren't in Europe, and we were only doing 6 stadium events. We've now got 32 stadium events. We're in the Champions League, so that 42% is going to drop even further compared to income. So there's still wiggle room to go and get 2 top players. Stop messing around, digging around. Come on, just get your wallet out, go do the business. I think it's like Sleeping Beauty. I feel like someone's, I don't know whether it's Don Fabio has been having a kip and they sent someone in to wake Sleeping Beauty up, give them a kiss and wake them up, because all of a sudden, from doing Jack for 2 months, suddenly we're all guns blazing now.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. It is crazy, and to think we could get 2 or 3 more done, or maybe 1 or 2 more done before the end of the window is nice to see. Sam, I'm going to spin round to you, mate. Obviously, we talked about Simmons, we've talked about Akanji. What sort of names do you think might crop up in the next 48 hours, where we've suddenly gone for a bid? Do you think Rodgers could come up? Do you think Lookman's going to come up more? What do you reckon, mate?
I mean, sometimes I do wonder if there's just people that their job is just to look through, like, you know, certain clubs' Twitters and like for the fan base and see the names that are being banded out by certain fans saying, oh, you know, I want Lookman, I want whoever. And then all of a sudden those rumors come out and it feels like they are, especially ones where you're thinking, well, that's just never going to happen. Admittedly, like this Xavi Simmons one, I was thinking it wasn't going to happen. But I don't know. I mean, I definitely think that if there is a chance that we could get Rodgers, he'd definitely be on my list. I just think he looks like he's going to be a really good player. Obviously knows Spence and, I think Spence, and also knows Brennan. So would fit in that regard, but also just looks like a very exciting young footballer with hunger and desire. And I think that we've had, and a lot of people have complained about it, we've had a lot of players that are just happy to be here. And we need players that are, you know, hungry for the success that Harry Kane left for. And hopefully we can turn the narrative around into, you know, we're the club that you want to come to push for things. Like a boy can dream, I know that. I don't know, names-wise, I wouldn't be surprised to see Ake also linked. Has El Khanous has he gone anywhere yet?
I don't think so. I don't think so, Frank.
He's still at Leicester.
Interesting. I think it will be a bunch of names that we've seen sort of like throughout the summer. I've seen links again to Conor Gallagher, which I just don't believe for a second, because why would his opinion have changed about not wanting to play for Spurs in a year? Just makes no sense to me. And also, why would we spend that money when, to be honest, probably that position that he plays is probably the most saturated like part of our squad. Even if you don't think those players are good enough or of the same level as Gallagher, we're going to need to let players go before you can even entertain the idea of bringing in Gallagher. And again, he's not the most priority signing, I think. As Johnny mentioned, they said about a centre-back, and we also, for the same reasons why Johnny thinks that we need a centre-back, I think we need another striker. Because, you know, if Richarlison goes down, then you're starting the season you're playing the season with Solanke, who's also had his injury problem since he came in. And
he's injured.
Yeah, exactly. So
who's injured?
Solanke. So your only option then is Tell. Yeah, so you only really have Tell, or you play someone like Kudus out of position, which again makes us weaker, in my opinion. So I think you need a striker.
But who's going to want to... But, Sam, I get your point. But the thing I'd counter with that is, like, who are you going to get in now that's going to comfortably want to be coming into the club and be the third string striker?
But it's a player it's a player like Lookman, though, isn't it? Because they can play... They're comfortable playing up front.
Yeah,
but
sure.
Ideally, they're going to play somewhere else. So, you know, if Lookman comes in, he's the starting left winger. And then if someone goes down, then we've got a few backup wingers or rotation wingers that can come in, and if he needs to go up front, they can come in, you know, Wilson Odobert or Tell, and they're going to need minutes as well. You know, it's all well and good buying these players for the potential, but you have to play them to reach it.
What about Gallagher on loan with an option?
Yeah, I would not be against that.
I mean, the only problem here we've got is if Paulinho goes down, we're back to having a gaping hole in the middle, right? I don't think we have anyone to fill in. I mean, they can do a job, but not to the level. And the one thing that Gallagher is fantastic at, whether you like him or not, or like the fact he's from Chelsea or not, he's a monster presser. And the one thing that Thomas Frank loves is a player that presses and, well, leads the press often, as he did for Chelsea when he was captain under Poch. But whether or not that deal, because he's still floating around trying to get out. None of where that one is possible, but who knows?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, mate. Interesting, guys. Final piece for the chat. And then, by the way, guys, there's 500 of you watching, but a lot of you are on Twitter. We started to stream on Twitter as well now, or X, whatever people call it. I still call it Twitter. So if you're watching on Twitter and you've enjoyed the show tonight, please, to the like 400 of you on Twitter, come over to YouTube, subscribe to SpursRelated on YouTube, search it on YouTube, or it's just youtube.com/@SpursRelated. So come over to the YouTube, subscribe, like, and turn on notification bells as well. We're not wrapping up just yet. We will be very shortly. I've got a few favors to ask the people in the chat, but the last engagement piece of this segment is, do we think on Monday, what do we think on Monday we will be rating this window? I'm going to start with Frank. I'm going to go round to Sam and then Johnny. I personally think we're going to get one more signing and it will be like an 8 out of 10 window and we will be maybe 1 or 2 arguably short. Whether that's a Lookman, whether that's an Akanji, I don't know. I would argue that the left wing is probably the priority. But Frank, what do you think?
I think sort of first and foremost, we become so sort of ingrained in this idea that we have to win the transfer window. And I think there was a comment yesterday about it, and it made a lot of sense that the transfer window and everything about it has become so different to what it was sort of when I was very young and years back, that now it's about, it feels like a lot of it feels like a big stunt, and that you've got to win the window. You've got to rate it a 10 out of 10 by the end of it or whatever. And ultimately it's about making sure that you're in a good enough place to compete across all 4 fronts this season. And where I look at right now where we're at, they need a left winger, they need another left-sided centre half. You could argue that they maybe not as a priority now, but they possibly need a right back. And as Sam said, and there's comments there, and you know, I've said in the past about the strikers, and the pair of them are both at fault of this as well, and their fitness and the pair of them is not good enough. We've seen the movie before too often of the pair of them. I imagine that come West Ham after the break, Solanke will probably play because he's not going away with England, and Richarlison probably is, or Richarlison is, sorry. So I imagine that naturally Solanke probably will find his way back into the team. And you can see it that one of them breaks down and is out for a while, and the other one is running to the ground and gets injured, you know, themselves. And then we're in a position where you can play Tell and you can play Johnson, but we're kind of making do. So that's kind of an issue as well. They've still got outgoings to do. That they're still a long way off this being a squad, I think, that I look at and go, that can compete on all 4 fronts. They will compete in competitions because they have a tactically astute manager. They will compete because they have good players who will help them out and get them through tough periods. But they're still a way off, I think, going really deep in a lot of competitions, especially with the Champions League. Where, as I say, I know the group, maybe we look at it, we thought it'd be a little bit stronger than it is. But as I say, in the 8 games you played in the Europa League last year, we could afford to play a Lancashire here and there, or Mikey Moore could come in and whatever. And that obviously can't happen this year. So, as I say, the signings of people like Akanji, who have been there, done that, got the T-shirt of playing in the Champions League, and Danso's the same, has obviously played in the Champions League with Lens in France. So you're bringing in players who are European level players that can compete at that level, and I think that's important. So I still think they need another 2, at least. I still think they'll get another 2. My hunch would be they get one in the next couple of sort of the next day or 2, and then they get one wrapped up on loan on deadline day. Would be my guess.
Okay, got it. I'll stick with you, Frank, for literally 10 seconds more, and then I'm coming to Sam. Also, Frank, I want your score prediction for tomorrow, and same for you. So Sam and Johnny, I'm coming to you for 1 minute each to give me your score prediction and what you think the window will be out of 10 come Monday. But Frank, give me your score prediction for tomorrow as well. And then I'm popping in the chat now, and I want every single person, whether you're on Twitter or whether you're on YouTube, to go and subscribe to Frank's channel. He's going to start posting some really nice content over there. He's already doing some shorts. So Frank, your score prediction, and then, yeah, a little bit about your channel.
I think score-wise, I think it'll be the tightest game we've played so far. But I will say we edge it 3-2. I think there'll be goals. I think Bournemouth surprised me a little bit. I thought they'd struggle a lot more than they maybe have at the start of the season. They obviously lost in the week against Brentford in the cup. But I think they will be. I think they will be a threat to us. I think they are a threat. I mean, we saw them at Anfield. I think Liverpool are a little bit more open than we are, maybe. But we saw them at Anfield and they were good. And then got a big win last week against Wolves. So I'm a little bit threatened by maybe what they offer, but I think we'll edge it 3-2. And in regards to the channel, I'm probably going to start sticking some bits up this week. I think post the Bournemouth game. Just after that, I'm going to try and get some sort of analysis bits up and whatever, and then that'll be the start of that. So yeah, that's going to come in the next little while.
Super stuff. Get over to Frank's channel, guys. 3-2. Do you agree? Put your score prediction in the chat. We'll go around in a minute. Sam, score prediction for tomorrow, and then a rating for what you think the window will end up as out of 10 on Monday. And also, again, guys, go and get over to Sam's Twitter, regular guest here. There's his Twitter in the description. So please go and click over and give Sam a follow. But Sam, what do you reckon?
Well, I've been very impressed with our start to the season so far. None more than the fact that we've kept 2 clean sheets. For me, that's almost unheard of in the Spurs scape over the last few years.
Yep.
So I don't know. I don't quite share the same. Or I am fearful. I'm a Spurs fan. I'm always fearful of any team we play. But I feel like I'm less fearful than Frank, and I feel like I'm going to go for a 3-1. I think we will concede, but I think that we're starting to get up a bit of momentum now. They'll be good. Hopefully, they don't go into it overconfident, but I think they'll be going into it confident off the back of people saying that the win against Burnley was only Burnley, but then going and doing it at the Etihad, I think is something that they should take a lot of confidence from. So I'm going to go 3-1. And then for the window, I don't know. At the moment, I think we're at like a 7, maybe 6 or 7. I think that the fact that it's taken so long to get Simmons in, not necessarily Simmons himself, just like a number 10, the fact that we've pissed about for like 40 days over this, I think that has to take points out of the window. So even if we were to then go and sign, another first team starter, whatever position that ends up being, and then as you say, maybe another starter on loan, or someone who's going to be fighting for their place, then I can understand why people are saying that it's 8. So maybe I say the window's at a 6 now. And I'd be happy to give it an 8 if they bring in 2 serious additions. But if they bring in 2, I'm not saying that they have to be amazing, but if they bring in 2 solid additions, I think it's still a 7 because of how long it's taken.
Okay, 7 for you. And yeah, guys, go and follow Sam's Twitter below for some nice opinions. And I'm sure he'll follow you back every time I say that. He's not sure, but anyway, Johnny. Last but not least, mate, congrats on 5K, by the way, on Football Inc. I saw you hit that earlier. Good stuff. Great stuff with Sean, of course. 3 things from you. Yeah, your predicted rating out of 10 for the rest of the window, your score prediction for tomorrow, and then a little bit about Football Inc., mate.
Okay, let's do this tomorrow. I'm with Frank Thomas, or Thomas Frank, that I was very surprised when you lose Quintera, you lose Hoysin to Real Madrid, you lose Zabani to PSG, you lose Kirkes to Liverpool. you lose 3 players of that quality going to 3 top teams. I think they brought in Trossard at left back. I can't remember who else they brought in at the just off the top of my head. But I just think that, you know, how are they going to get through this defensively? And we saw against Liverpool, but I'm not taking that as any yardstick, because I predicted that Liverpool were in the mud unless they will win absolutely nothing unless they address the defensive issues, which has been proved, conceding 4 goals in the first 2 games. I do think that we will have too much for them. Thomas Frank, that's the beauty. You're going to enjoy this season. I've been watching Thomas Frank for years. You will never know what he's going to do. Just when you think you know what he's going to do, he'll do something different. But I do think we will concede. I'm going for a 3-1 win and Semenyo for a goal. But I'm sure Jed Spence will be looking to pop him in his pocket along with the rest of the Premier League wingers. As far as the window's concerned, if I'd have turned around to any one of you in the fan base and said, you know what, right, I think we're going to sign Xavi, Simmons, Kudos and Paulinho, they would have carted me off and put on a white straitjacket on me, right? So for you guys to sit there and go, oh, well, you know, it's a 6, it's a 7. It's better than that. I think our expectations have gone up, or our demands have gone up, because what we see with Arsenal right now, Arsenal are winning the race for the transfer window, I think. But if Liverpool sign Mark Guéhi and Alexander Isak, they go into first place. But Spurs can be very happy with this window if we can sign this left winger and the centre back. And there's no harm in getting one buy and one with a loan, with an option or an obligation. In fact, going through on that, doing that is possibility that you can go 2 loans. We could loan 2 players in. We don't have any players on loan at the moment, so we can loan 2 in, one with an option and one with an obligation, and buy 1 player and still be within the finances. Because I think I worked out there's about 130, 140 million to spend and left. So I reckon we can do all of these deals with loans and a purchase. So for me, Lookman and any one of Ake and Akanji will do, because in 18 months, Vuskovic will be further ahead and our other players, defenders, will be further ahead. So I'm quite comfortable with that. So that's that.
So that makes it a what? If you get Lookman and one of those on loan, like you said, what does that make it? A 9 or an 8?
9 out of 10 for me. It's a 9 out of 10. Well, what more do you want? What more do you want? Seriously, I mean, it's a 9 out of 10. That's for me, anyway.
Interesting. And what's coming up on Football Inc., mate? As I said, congrats on 5K.
Yeah, we've now got a shirt-sponsored tie-in now, so we're doing that. But listen, we've got fun and games. Obviously, we're going to do the reviews. Still doing the transfer window. We've got our score predictions. We've got the fantasy football. We're going to be doing. We've got the one thing that we maybe do different to everyone. We did spin the wheel, so both Sean and I have a different team in each league that we have to support. I was drawn very lucky. I got Cremonese, who I didn't think would win 1 game in the entire season. But in the first game, we managed to beat AC Milan, and Sean got Elche. Yeah, it's good fun. Yeah. Serious football and a bit of a laugh.
Awesome, mate. Awesome. Yeah, get over to Football Link if you're still watching. There it is in the description. It's in the live chat. It's like 3 chats up. So get over there as well. And yeah, interesting stuff. I've seen the numbers have started to grow. It's like 600 and something of you across all now. I believe some of you have just come over from other channels on YouTube. So make sure you're watching back on repeat and you're smashing the thumbs up, you're smashing the subscription. And as I said, those that are watching on Twitter, like 460 on Twitter, get over to YouTube because we have much more content here, not just the live streams, but the offline videos, the analysis videos, the vlogs, everything else interviews. So I'm sure if I see Johnny at the game tomorrow, I might interview him outside the stadium. Who knows? But guys, really appreciate all the support as always. Get over to these great channels. Make sure you're hitting subscribe on Spurs Related. Make sure you're hitting the like button. Make sure you're hitting the notification bell. And we'll see you again very soon for another upload. If you have your noties on, you won't miss it. And remember, as always, come on, you Simmons. Hey.